Hi, my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can layer a hyaluronic acid and niacinamide serum. Now they can be used together daily in the morning and or evening, and hyaluronic acid primarily focuses on hydration and plumbing, although those effects are only temporary while using the product. And then you have niacinamide, which is a brightening ingredient mainly, so it helps to improve an uneven skin tone, blotchiness and even blemishes which you may have on the skin surface, and it helps to regulate oiliness, which then helps to reduce the appearance of enlarged pores. Overall, niacinamide is also supposed to help with your overall skin health, so to some extent you can say it has some anti-aging benefits too. And so altogether it's great for all skin types. However, it may also be a bit more suitable based on how niacinamide works if you have combination to an oilier skin type. Now, I want to first get into my example skincare routines that I have prepared for you so that you can see the layering and what you have to keep in mind. And then later on, I want to show you the application and give you a general guide of how much you can use of each product so that you're not overdoing it and you're not coming across any issues while doing this combination. So first of all, we're going to get started with an example of a morning skincare routine, starting off with your cleansing step. Now this can be plain water for sure. However, if you're trying to remove any excess oil, dirt, sweat, and even any leftovers or residues from the night before, if you have an evening skincare routine, I recommend going in with a cleanser. Now this can be a gentle cleanser for your skin type, this can be a treatment cleanser or even an exfoliating acid cleanser. That's completely fine. Just make sure that it targets your main concerns. Wash your face, rinse it off, and then remove the water drops from the skin surface. Then you can move on to your hyaluronic acid serum. I have a few examples right here, as you can see. And then you're going to move on to your niacinamide serum afterwards. However, you could do this the other way around as well, where you would at first use your niacinamide serum and then your hyaluronic acid serum. Now this primarily depends on the serums that you may have at home and the overall texture. So basically a layer from the thinnest to the thickest texture based on the serums. However, if you have serums that have a very similar texture, well then go with your preference. There isn't really a right or wrong based on how you should layer them, because both products are water-based serums and they're usually very lightweight. Therefore, the order of application does not really play a big role. But if you have one that has a thinner texture, use that one at first. Then apply your serums to the skin, leave it on the skin, there's no need to wash it off. And then during daytime, follow on with sun protection. This can be a regular sunscreen or moisturizer that already contains SPF to protect the skin from the damaging UV rays, specifically if you're already concerned about fine lines and wrinkles and even your hyperpigmentation. You do not want to make it worse. Therefore, sunscreen can really help you to protect it and overall to not get any sunburn or skin cancer. So sun protection during daytime when being exposed to the sun is key. Then when it comes to an evening skincare routine, it can look pretty much the same, just without the sunscreen step. And then there you have your cleanser, then your specific serums. Again, depending on the order of application you're going to do this. One comes first and the other one afterwards, and then there you have it. However, if you're usually wearing sunscreen and or makeup throughout the day and your regular cleanser isn't able to properly remove it from the skin, I recommend doing a double cleanse. This mainly would focus on either going with micellar water or an oil or balm cleanser as your first step, and then you're moving on to your regular cleanser afterwards to make sure that everything comes properly off the skin, and then continue with the rest of your skincare routine. Now, of course, if you have a drier skin type and you should feel the need of working with a moisturizer, you can always use it as a last step in your evening skincare routine, but it isn't really necessary if it feels already hydrating enough. And so there you have an example of a morning and evening skincare routine on how you can work with it and how you can adjust it depending on the time of use. So now I want to put this into practice. I have an example of a morning skincare routine right here, which I'm now going to demonstrate. So again, we're going to get started with the first step, which is going to be your cleanser. And as an example, I'm going to use Cetaphil's Daily Facial Cleanser, which is great for combination to oily skin. Now, if you should have a different cleanser, replace it. That's completely fine. Just make sure to read on the back of the packaging on how you should use your cleanser to make sure that you are properly using it to remove any excess oil, dirt, sweat, and even in the evening, makeup and sunscreen from the skin. So here it is advised to use the cleanser on wet skin. So the first step that I'm going to do is now wetting my face and neck and hands with lukewarm water to warm water. Then I'm going to use about 1 to 2 pumps, which should be more or less about a coin size amount of cleanser. And I'm going to massage it all over my face and neck for about 30 seconds to a minute before rinsing it off again. You can do this above the sink or take the cleanser with you in the shower. That's completely fine. Just make sure to properly remove it later on from the skin as well. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, when rinsing the cleanser off the skin and you're doing this above the sink, this can work well by just using your hands. However, often there's still some residue left and you cannot properly remove everything from the skin. And so therefore, I always like to recommend working with a soft and fresh washcloth that you can use in between. You can wet it and then use it to gently remove any residue of your cleanser, or even in the evening when maybe doing a double cleanser, just using your usual cleanser to remove your sunscreen and makeup to properly make sure that everything comes off the skin. This is really a helpful tip that I can share with you to do in between. When washing your face in the shower, this may not be necessary because the pressure of your shower head is strong enough to properly rinse everything off. So now go ahead and take a fresh towel and remove the water drops from the skin. So once you're done with your cleansing step, there's one more important point that I need to emphasize, which you would do between your cleansing step but before applying your specific serum. And this is removing the water drops from the skin surface. This is really important to do, and this is the point that refers to damp skin, because while washing your face, your skin is able to absorb some water. Now, damp skin does not refer to leaving some water drops on the skin surface, because if you're going to do this specifically with water-based serums such as your hyaluronic acid and niacinamide, this can cause specific issues. This can feel very smeary because the serum mixes with the water that you have left on the skin surface. Then once it dries, your skin can feel dry and tight and it feels like you're wearing a mask. And then when layering other products afterwards, it can even cause pilling, which is like the little bits that are rolling off the skin surface. And this is just the residue that the serum couldn't absorb into the skin, probably because you have there's still the water on the skin surface, or you have used a bit too much of it. And so those are the specific points that can happen if you're going to apply your serum to still wet skin, basically. Now, what is true is that if you're going to leave the skin damp, so removing the water drops from the skin and then immediately moving on to the application of your serum, is that those products can penetrate better into the skin. So go ahead and make sure to properly remove the water drops from the skin surface before you're moving on to the application of your serum. And so now I'm ready to move on to the application. Now, in my order of application, I went with the hyaluronic acid at first and then niacinamide afterwards, but depending on the serum that you may have, it's fine to do it the other way around. Now, I have a few examples which you just saw in my example skincare routines as well. I have the same examples right here. So for my hyaluronic acid serum, I'm going to use Vichy's Mineral 89 hyaluronic acid booster, and this one has a pump. So if you have a serum with a pump, go with 1 to 2 pumps. Start off with 1 pump, see how far you can blend it. If that shouldn't be enough, add another pump to it or just a bit to it, so that you're making sure that you can cover the entire face and neck area, but at the same time the serum should be able to properly absorb into the skin. There shouldn't be a residue that's sitting on the skin surface. So I'm going with 1 pump and then start blending it evenly all over. So once you have applied your serum to the skin, your hyaluronic acid or niacinamide serum, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And by the way, if you want to learn more about the rest of the general guides depending on the serum that you may have, you will find it in my example skincare routines that I have listed them specifically. Then the next step in my example is going to be a niacinamide serum. I have my examples right here and I'm going to use the ordinary niacinamide serum. That one has a thicker, stickier texture, therefore I recommend going with 2 to 3 drops for your face and neck. If you should have a serum that has a thinner texture, go with 4 to 6 drops. So you need to adjust it, but please again do not overdo it. If your serum has a pipette, you can basically put a few drops on the palm of your hand, fingertips, or immediately to your face, and then start blending it all over. So, and once you have applied your niacinamide serum to the skin, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. Now, if this is going to be your evening skincare routine, you can stop right here and then just go with the serums and that's it. However, of course, if you have a drier skin type and you want to adjust it, well then it's fine to now move on to a moisturizer if you should feel a need. Use about a bean size amount and apply it evenly all over your face and neck, and then you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. However, I'm going to go with a morning skincare routine because the sunscreen step in this specific routine is extremely important if you primarily want to use it for anti-aging benefits and even if you're suffering from hyperpigmentation. So to not make things worse, sun protection during daytime is important. Apply 10 to 15 minutes before sun exposure. Now go with about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon for your face, neck and décolletage. This can be adjusted depending on the sunscreen that you may have, like the overall texture. Just make sure that you are going to blend it properly, evenly all over your face, your ears, your neck, your décolletage, depending on how much exposure you have on your décolletage, and please make sure to do this properly. Now I have a teaspoon right here, it's half a teaspoon, and I'm going to fill it up so that you can see the amount of product. And I'm going to use COSRX Aloe Soothing Sunscreen, which I'm going to apply evenly all over my face, neck, and a bit on my décolletage. So about that much, more or less. If you should end up with too much product, then of course go ahead and reduce the amount. That's for sure, so that making sure that it feels comfortable on the skin. So once you're done with the application of your sunscreen, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off, and then this would be an example of a morning skincare routine. Now again, I want to remind you, you will find my example skincare routines plus the overall general guide and some skincare like tips such as the cleansing guide or the application guide, what products I have picked, and specifically the sunscreen guide, everything in the description box down below. You just need to click on the link. You can see the PowerPoint slides online where I'm uploading them, or you can even download them if you find them helpful and you want to follow that specific routine. Now I do hope that you enjoyed this video, that you find it helpful. If you now want to learn more about skincare in general, I have videos for you on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to link some of them at the end of this video so that you can keep on watching. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Happy skincaring. Bye!